Mike here from the Bible Project, and I am with one of the co-founders, John Collins, and you are all over the place, I'm sure. And this is the very first ever Future.Bible Summit, and we are super thankful to get to be with you. So, John, tell me about the Bible
Mike.
Project. For those that don't know,
Yeah.
I know a lot of these people do, but I know there's a ton of people that don't, so.
Bible Project, if you aren't aware of what we're up to, is we make short animated explainer videos that explain how the Bible works as literature and how it's one unified story that leads to Jesus. We go through books of the Bible, show its literary structure. We go through themes of the Bible and show how those themes tie together the whole biblical narrative. We do other types of videos as well. So that's the kind of bread and butter of what we do. It's they're online for free. Our model is that people kind of prepay for them. Like a crowd says, hey, we want these videos. They Kickstarter model. And then once the video is produced, then it's paid for, and then we can just put it out into the world without any paywall. Which is great because when people watch video content, they typically expect there not to be a paywall unless it's like a Netflix or something like that. If it's just an educational video or something that you would expect to see on YouTube, you're just not going to pay for it.
Yeah.
Even if it's really high quality. And it also allows us to get the content out really far and wide. So we love that model. People have been really generous to do it with us, so it's working. And then on top of the videos, we produce a podcast. And the podcast is a conversation between Tim, the other founder, who's the biblical scholar. He brings his notes, and we talk through his notes. And that's our process towards writing a script. And we record that and put it up as a podcast. And people love to follow along. Because it's just like you're learning with us as we're engaging in this content, trying to figure out how we'll turn it into a video.
Feels like you're a fly on the wall to a couple buddies having a conversation that is pretty unique to me. Like I feel like a lot of podcasts are scripted, and I feel like when I'm sitting in on one of these podcasts, it's like I'm actually just in a room with Tim and John talking about the Bible.
Yeah, because you are in a virtual way.
Yeah.
So that's the main thing. We got a lot of other stuff going on, but
Is podcast weekly?
The podcast is weekly,
and then videos are like every 3 weeks ish, right? Every 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, we really had. I've thought a lot about how often do you have to release something to keep people engaged, and this was our project was modeled off of YouTube. What was happening on YouTube. So people would subscribe to a channel, and then they would come back to see what that channel is producing. And in the YouTube world, they would say, you need to put out something every week. And to keep that subscriber base moving and engaged, we just can't produce stuff that fast. I was trying to get to that level, and it just became unfeasible. So we got to a point where we were releasing every 2 weeks, but it was killing us. So now it's about every 3 weeks. We take the summer off. And it's working. So
now every 3 weeks, but how long does it take to actually make one of the videos? Because it doesn't take just like 3 weeks to make one. Like how long?
Anywhere from a month to 7 months we've spent on a video. So it spans depending on how technical the video is. So we do these like doodles where you just kind of see the book of the Bible drawn out in front of you. Those we could do in like a month.
Okay.
We just released this video on the Tree of Life, which we worked on for 7 months.
Wow.
So yeah.
And why YouTube? YouTube. I feel like that. Like for a lot of folks that are asking that question, I get that question all the time. Like, as they're starting projects, like, what was the kind of?
Well, YouTube is where everyone is. Well, not everyone. YouTube is where a lot of people are. And YouTube is a free service that's just a really high quality video player, and allows you to distribute your content for free. And so the problem with YouTube, obviously, is there's a lot of really bad content, and even content you wouldn't want people to watch or your kids to watch or people in your church to watch. So by putting on YouTube, you're in that ecosystem. But what's interesting is that nearly half of our views on YouTube come from YouTube as a platform recommending our content. So it's somewhere between 40 and 50% between, like, they call them browse features, where if you're on there and you're just like scrolling through what's new and it's like, hey, have you seen this video on the Tree of Life?
Yeah.
Or search features, someone searched Tree of Life for whatever reason. Suggested video, hey, watch this video next. So YouTube knows a lot about you and your viewing habits and will serve up our content to you. And that's huge. We don't pay for that marketing.
Yeah, so why would YouTube point people towards, like, 50% of our views or close to would point to to that channel, to those videos?
Yeah.
Is it
YouTube's main goal is to keep people on YouTube. They want you to watch more content on YouTube so they can serve ads and make money. By the way, Google doesn't make any money on YouTube. It's a loss leader for them. That's interesting. But we don't run ads. You don't have to run ads, and YouTube doesn't seem to care. They don't demote us in any way. It doesn't seem, because we don't run ads. But they like our content because people will watch it to the end, and they'll stay on YouTube.
Right.
So if you create good content that people will consume, then YouTube will go, okay, people like this, I'm going to share it to more people.
And they'll stay on the platform,
and they'll stay in the
ecosystem.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
So we're making videos, we're making a podcast. For the last couple of years, you've been working on this classroom project.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that, 'cause that's like a whole other, feels like, thing.
Yeah, so Classroom is a thing we just launched, Future.Bible. Tim, the other founder, Hebrew Bible scholar, has been teaching in different capacities. He teaches adjunct at a seminary in town, and he loves to teach. And so one of the problems, or one of the opportunities we saw, is that when he would go teach at a seminary, he's teaching to the people who had the time and resources to be in that room,
right,
which typically are middle to upper class white dudes. And
like us.
like us. And so there's that. And also what we really like about our content is we make it, and then it gets a life of its own. Versus you go to a class, you teach 20 people, and then it's done. That experience is done. Those people go and take what they've learned, and it changes, goes beyond there. But so we were like, Tim loves to teach. Let's bring students in that are diverse, that represent the church more broadly, who wouldn't normally be able to have that kind of experience. And then let's film it, masterclass style, so it feels like you're kind of there learning with the students, and then put it online. And so as we did that, we thought, well, what would be the best way to get through this content? Because it's like hours.
It's like
one
a
class,
real, like, seminary level type.
You're going through 14 hours of content in one class. So how do you bring people through 14 hours of content? And Tim does a lot of doodling and showing slides. And so we wanted to build a learning management system that allowed us to keep you engaged, get you through the content, see multiple screens. And so that's what Classroom.Bible has become, is the classes we shoot, and then that platform that it goes on. Right now there's only one class up, but we'll have more later. And it's not accredited. We don't really care about accreditation. It's really for, like, if you're a teacher and you want to go deeper, but you just don't have the time and resources to go and do it in a traditional seminary model, that this would be a great resource for that. So, yeah.
And it's free.
It's free.
Which is crazy.
Totally. And what I've thought about a lot, though, is like when something's free, you're not bought in as much to finish it.
Yeah.
And this is 14 hours for a class. You kind of want skin in the game to finish it.
Yeah.
So I've been wrestling through that. It is free, and we're going to keep it free. But how do we keep building in incentive to not just be like, well, I didn't pay anything for this, so I'm going to bail out.
Right.
Like, I paid a lot for a gym membership, so like,
I'm
going to go use it.
Right.
Although I've paid for gym memberships that I haven't used.
I was a member at 24 Hour Fitness, I think, for 3 years. I went 4 times, and I went for the hot tub. So I realized, like, I actually
could have just bought a hot tub.
I could have bought a hot tub for that. Wow. Okay, last but not least, because I know that you've also been working on this, and this is talking about VR and the Bible.
Yeah. So VR, virtual reality, augmented reality, they kind of put it together now and anything else in that sphere, and they call it XR.
Okay.
So that's the term now, XR. And it's a very new industry, and it's growing obviously rapidly, but also in a way that kind of fits and starts of like, we got cool headsets, but then there's nothing to do on them, and they're really expensive. And when I've done a few experiences in VR, that has blown me away and just made me realize that as a communication medium, it's gonna be a big shift in the same way that like in the turn of the 20th century, when people are starting to play around with like motion cameras for the first time, it's like did they see cinema coming the way that it's now progressed? Not completely, but like it was becoming this game-changing technology. Yeah. So that's kind of what we're doing now in virtual reality, and the industry at large is just saying like, what can we do with this? Instead of watching a screen, you are immersed, you are present in a new place. You have the opportunity to move things around. The scale of things can change. So the opportunities for education, I think, are huge. People are using it for gaming. People are using it for cinema, or trying to figure that out. But what I'm interested in, what BioProjects is interested in, is how do you use that as a medium for communication?
Yeah.
And I think that it's a really worthy endeavor for Christians, because if you just think historically, that people of faith have been the ones pushing forward communication technologies from like just like scroll technology, like Second Temple Jewish people, how they created a collection of scrolls that to them became this whole hyperlinked, really beautifully designed collection called the Hebrew Scriptures, which we call the Old Testament. Like, to the degree that they were doing that, using this simple communication technology and pushing it to its limits, was astounding.
Yeah.
And then you've got first century, second century Christians who adopted the Codex and ran with that harder than anyone else. You've got, famously the Gutenberg Press, and the people who are geeking out the most about type and fonts are people lettering for Bibles. So there is this legacy that we have, which is, if this is the greatest story, if understanding these things really does create transformation, then we need to care about communication technology more than anyone on the planet. And what's interesting is if you start to kind of wade around in the VR ecosystem, you'll find a lot of Christians there.
Really?
There's a lot of Christians, and so I think there's a sense of like, okay, we missed it with film. We kind of like never figured film out very well. Let's not miss it this time.
Yeah.
Let's drive it forward. So we're really excited. We're just tinkering. We're just doing R&D. We built an experience. If you're ever in our office, we can show it to you. But we're like, it's so early. It's just like, what works in VR, what doesn't? How do you use it as a way to explain things?
I love it. I'm so glad we're investing in that. Going through the VR experience, even ours that we're tinkering with, like you built.
Yeah.
I feel like I've stepped into this world, and I can learn when it's visual, when I'm like, it's tangible, I'm touch. It's all the senses together, like all of it together, which I just feel like is incredible. I remember that experience, so
yeah,
it's great. Awesome. Thanks, John.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good rest of the summit.
If you're enjoying the summit today, and I'm sure you are, head over to 316.future.bible to get lifetime access to every one of these talks. Lifetime access will allow you and your team to enjoy these talks as a team long after today, plus we'll throw in a free general availability .bible domain name.